According to Elena Saminsky, writing in the Inquiry's Journal in 2010, over 50% of high school students reported getting less than 7 hours of sleep per night, while 1 in 5 students reported getting less than 6 hours of sleep per night. These results show us that the majority of high school students do not get the recommended amount of sleep every night, which is 8.5 to 9 hours. So what does this statistic have to do with anything, and how can we ensure that our teenagers get more sleep every night? Throughout the speech, I will be discussing how starting school later in the morning can be beneficial to our youth and the damaging effects of not getting enough sleep every night. If school started later in the morning, teens would be able to get more sleep, have more time to eat a healthy breakfast, be in a safer environment, decrease depression, and decrease the risk of substance abuse. The first point I'm going to make is how crucial getting enough sleep for a teenager actually is. How much of sleep a student gets per night is heavily correlated with the student's academic performance. According to Jacqueline Howard, writing in the Huffington Post in 2014, researchers from 2 different universities surveyed 621 newly freshman college students about their sleep habits during exam times. The results came back, and the students who slept more than 7 hours a night performed better on the test. The grades of the students who slept 7 hours each night or more during the exam period scored nearly 10% higher than those who got less than that. This statistic shows that on average, students who get more sleep per night generally do better on their exams. Another source studying sleep correlation with academic achievement, Melissa Locker, writing on the Time website on January 13, 2015, says for math and executive functions, things like working memory, planning, and not being distracted, the hardware that supports those skills is in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is very sensitive to the effects of poor sleep or insufficient sleep. This statistic shows that the lack of sleep has a negative impact on the brain and can affect you when it comes to learning. The second point I'm going to make is that if school started later in the morning, students would have more time to eat a healthy breakfast, which is scientifically proven to help improve academic performance. With more time in the morning, students would have no excuse to not eat a nutritious breakfast. Everyone has heard about how eating a healthy breakfast has positive impacts on the brain function, but not many people take action to it. According to Madeline Levin, writing in Breakfast to Learning in the fall of 2011, hunger can lead to lower math scores, attention problems, behavioral, emotional, and academic problems. Furthermore, studies show that children who are consistently or always hungry are more likely to repeat a grade. What many people don't know is that our brains require a fresh supply of glucose every morning, because that is our brain's fuel. According to Allison Aubrey, writing on NPR website on September 4, 2006, without glucose, our brain simply does not operate as well. People have difficulty understanding new information. They have problems with visual and spatial understanding, and they don't remember things as well. If everyone could make it a priority to eat a healthful breakfast every day, academic performance would increase significantly. The next point I'm going to make is that if school started later in the morning, this would increase teenager safety. When kids leave for school in the morning, it is usually still dark outside, and many teenage students are newly licensed drivers, which also increases the risk of auto accidents due to minimal driving experience. Also, if school started later, teens would be getting more sleep, which would prevent drowsy driving. Another reason teen safety would be safer is because they would be getting out of school around the same time that typical parents get off work, which would result in more supervision. According to the National Sleep Foundation website, young people who do not get enough sleep night after night carry a significant risk for drowsy driving, emotional and behavioral problems such as irritability, depression, poor impulse control and violence, health complaints, tobacco and alcohol use, impaired cognitive function, and lower overall performance in everything from academics to athletics. According to Teen Driver Source, teenagers who sleep less than 8 hours per night are 1/3 more likely to have a car crash than those who get more than 8 hours of sleep per night. Another statistic from the same source says that the majority of fatigue-related crashes are caused by drivers under the age of 25. These stats show us that teens are more susceptible to being involved in car crashes due to not having enough sleep. Going to school later would solve this problem and save many lives. According to a National Sleep Foundation study, drowsiness or fatigue is the principal cause of at least 100,000 traffic accidents per year. If school is to start later in the day, teens would be able to get more sleep, which can help with problems such as depression. Depression is a big problem among teenagers today, and what many people don't know is that lack of sleep correlates with depression. According to Anne Harding, writing in CNN Health on June 9, 2010, sleep deprivation and depression go hand in hand among teenagers. Says the study's lead specialist, instead of giving them medications, I'd rather see them get a chance to get more sleep. From the same article by Anne Harding, they proposed a study among 262 high school students to see a correlation between sleep time and depression. The students reported that they sleep 6 hours per night on average, which is 3 hours less than the recommended time. The rate of depression among the students was very high. 30% of the teens had strong symptoms of depression, while another additional 32% had some depression symptoms, according to the study. The last point I have to make about school starting later is that with more sleep, teens are less likely to be involved in substance abuse and risky behavior. According to Julian Gary, writing on Child Minds, research shows that sleep-deprived teens are far more likely to use stimulants like caffeine and nicotine to get through the day, but also to deal with sleep-related negative moods by self-medicating with alcohol. They're also more likely to engage in unprotected sex and reckless driving than teens who get upwards of 7 hours of sleep per night, because they get lack of impulse control, suffer from impaired judgment and decision making. From the same article, there is data that shows that because teens are not fully developed in terms of their executive functioning, even acute short sleep can lead to risky behavior and poor judgment. The combination of lack of infrastructure and poor sleep sends them down the wrong path. I chose this topic because as a student, I think starting school later would help many students both emotionally and physically. It wouldn't only benefit me, but also my peers. I know a lot of people, including myself, who struggle to stay awake during school and complain about being sleep deprived. Even on the survey that I gave to my classmates, 100% of them said that they struggle to wake up in the morning, 50% of them said that they do fall asleep during class, and another 50% said that they would be more focused in school if it started later. With various statistics showing us that lack of sleep correlates to poor academic performance, I don't see a reason why schools shouldn't start later in the morning. By doing so, it is giving kids a chance to get more sleep per night, which will significantly improve their mental and physical health.